with you. So Jamie, my name is Lydia Lanker. I work for Channel 4 here in Nashville, and you are focusing on volunteering. Obviously a word that catches everyone's attention in Nashville and Tennessee because we're the volunteer state. We've been through some extreme volunteer situations in the past few years. So before we even start though, tell me your name, spell your first and last name, and please give me your title for the record.
My name is Jamie Dent. It's spelled Jamie Dent. My title with Volunteer Tennessee, the State Commission on Volunteering and Service, is the Senior AmeriCorps Program Officer.
There's no such thing as an easy title, is there?
No, I love it. I have a whole resume of crazy titles, but that's part of working in nonprofit and volunteerism. You have to make it fun.
Tell me about this initiative you're working on and what it's going to accomplish.
Sure. Well, just to kind of give you a history, the reason that I even got involved in volunteer management was having kind of had one of those moments in life where you wonder what your purpose is. And through that, I decided to serve 2 years in AmeriCorps, which is a national service program. And through that experience, I found the power of service to be the best thing that anyone can do being a human. And having a wonderful experience living around the country, doing great things, I came to Tennessee about 4 years ago, specifically for this job. And the initiative basically is looking at taking what has been done in other places. There's a lot of great volunteer management training and coaching programs in other states. They have developed those through years of research and planning with funding, which we don't have. And so I'm working with some of those folks to bring those resources here to Tennessee so that anyone living in Tennessee will have access to those through both a technology web-based resource or an in-person session or on the phone or a webinar, however they want that delivered to them.
Can you do this initiative, launch it within the confines of your structure of your job today, or do you see it living outside, and how will you make that happen?
It needs to live wherever it's useful. Volunteer Tennessee will help create this. We will have 16 program directors going through this and helping train it. So let me explain that a little bit. We get funding from the Corporation for National and Community Service, which is our federal NGO funder that's based in DC. They get their funds appropriated through Congress. One of the programs they run is AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps is a national service program where an individual can take anywhere from several months to an entire year and commit to a year of service. I've done 2 years. I'm an AmeriCorps alum. It was an amazing experience. And so we fund 16 programs around the state through an annual competitive grant process. Each of those programs has a program director who places AmeriCorps members into service, who themselves recruit volunteers. And so I will be working with our program directors to test out what a volunteer management training and coaching program would look like for Tennessee. So we already have a captivated audience who at our Tennessee Conference on Volunteerism and Service Learning expressed the need for professional development opportunities. Nashville has a lot of resources. We have Hands on Nashville, which is one of our greatest organizations who partners with Center for Nonprofit Management, and then everyone else they touch, which is pretty much everyone that's involved in education or nonprofit and a lot of faith-based organizations. So there's a lot of best practices here that need to be made available to a lot of our rural communities, and Tennessee is mostly rural. And so living in these urban environments, we forget that the people that have the highest need and really could benefit the most from volunteer management training and support are the ones who don't have the ability to get to it or access it.
Let me talk about your passion in this work. Everyone likes to give a Saturday here or there to do something to freshen up a school or plant a garden, a community garden. What is it for you that touches you every day and wants to create something of this magnitude?
That's a good question. I think I'm a little more extreme when it comes to volunteering. I do work full-time, I'm in school full-time, and I got up at 6 o'clock on Wednesday and went and composted with Hands on Nashville. And I was back in work in my desk in dress clothes by 8:30. So volunteering to me is everything it means to be human. I think it transcends religion. I think it transcends politics. It's what it means to be a good person, and I self-identify with that. So it's embodied in everything that I see. And I find the value in giving my time and skills to help someone else, but I also learn way more than I feel like I ever give. And so just being involved in my community, I'm learning. And I find the best teachers aren't the ones in the classrooms, they're ones also digging next to me, or also building something, or reading to youth, or whatever the activity is. I always feel like I'm constantly learning. And to me, volunteering is really what it means to be a Tennessean. It means to be out there supporting nonprofits, supporting schools, supporting your church or synagogue, or wherever you attend service. And it is really interesting that the research says that people who volunteer are typically the busiest. Well, I just qualified for that. So I'm really looking at how to motivate those folks who need skills and need job skills and need to build those relationships and pair them with volunteer needs. And so to do that, we need to have trained professionals in each region of Tennessee to be able to train their folks and their cohorts and their communities to be better able and skilled to manage those folks who are essentially the lifeblood of the existence of their nonprofits or schools and the health of their community.
Well, when you hear about volunteers, it's not just putting out a call for a Saturday or a 6 o'clock call on a Wednesday for folks. There's a lot more structure to it, which I didn't personally realize. Is there a lot of work to do there, Jamie, or do you feel it's just a good coordination and focus will fill this need?
It's not a lot of work. I think anything you do for the first time is harder than you imagined it would be. And so as you will go through these training modules, you'll realize you probably knew a lot of the information. However, the way we present it is just going to be memorable. You're going to be able to recall it and use it. And so there's going to be it's going to be directed for multiple learning styles. It's going to be fun and engaging through hands-on activities, through development of a technology that uses video and audio, where there are written resources that supplement it. So it's really going to speak to everyone. And it will take an investment of time. We're looking at right now having the ability to provide it for virtually nothing. However, the coaching or maybe on-site training will have a small fee for service. But you can't expect someone to drive somewhere and print things and use their time for free. I mean, that's just unreasonable. And I think that's kind of a misperception of the volunteer world, where people think, especially volunteering, they think it's for free or they get it for free. And that's a misperception. That anything of value costs money. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use what the Corporation for National Community Services funding source called the Volunteer Generation Fund developed these things. And there are great groups. There's a great group in Nashville, the Volunteer Administrators Network. In Chattanooga and Memphis, there's the Directors of Volunteers and Agencies. These are basically councils who get together and have lunch and talk about volunteering and how to support each other. Well, I want to connect all those pieces. There needs to be a hub. There needs to be an expert resource that can coordinate the content, that can provide them the support, where we can even write grants to support them. Volunteer Tennessee as an agency does that with volunteer centers who provide that. We also do it with we provide resources to the United Way. And I'm also working with the United Way on looking at how to reach these folks, because they serve every county, all 95 in Tennessee. So the point of this is to build community. And if someone is responsible in their agency or their church or their school for coordinating volunteers, I call them a volunteer administrator, because a volunteer administrator does more than just manages volunteers. They probably do some financing, they probably create curriculum, they probably place someone into a volunteer role, and then they manage them. So they're really a jack of all trades. And we want to teach them how to learn at each point through that process how to be successful.
Well, let's extrapolate for a second. The fact that you want to bring all these people together under one roof is so critical, because so many times we hear there's so many duplicative social service networks out there, and they're all kind of working against each other when they're trying to help people. So that is a great endeavor. How will your initiative affect us? God forbid if we get hit with another flood or a tornado. How does this coordinated response then affect the response?
Good question. One of my roles in the state of Tennessee is to manage volunteers and donations. So this morning I was at Tennessee Emergency Management Agency for a monthly meeting where we bring together all emergency services coordinators to build that community. So when something does happen, such as a flood or a tornado response, which I've responded to and coordinated volunteers for, then we now have the ability to just literally put that call out for help. I went to East Tennessee, I believe it was last year. Time runs together. That's what happens when you're busy. So I went to East Tennessee and coordinated the tornado recovery a month after the tornadoes went through Greenville. Well, after going through that experience, which it was great, it was nice to set up a volunteer coordination center and a donations warehouse. That was a very memorable experience, but I shouldn't have had to go out there. I know it's my responsibility to coordinate it, but I wish that there were those professionals in that community that are locally based or based in that jurisdiction that would automatically step up and do that just like I did. So basically the purpose of Volunteer Tennessee is to build community service in the state of Tennessee. And we do that by supporting volunteer centers, working with AmeriCorps and so forth. And so it makes sense for us to develop this volunteer management resource that isn't just a bunch of stuff on a web page. It's actively engaging in supporting nonprofits in churches and schools by bringing them together, doing collaborative online events. Google Plus is amazing now. You can do a video chat with 20 people on a screen. It's really, and you can do it from Land Between the Lakes to Chattanooga. It doesn't matter where you are. You can do it sitting in your car. So I think most of us now have the ability to access technology, to use it to learn. And so that's the point of having a hub with this information. So it's consistent too. I read a lot, and everything I read is a little different from the last thing, but it's all around volunteering, volunteer management, the psychology of volunteer management. I think that language needs to be simplified. It needs to be easy to consume, 3 to 8 minute videos. We don't need to talk about recruitment for half a day. So there are best practices. I've seen the success in it. There's plenty of people who are as passionate or more passionate than I am that would be willing to lead those sessions and to share that experience.
Good job. We're going to go into the next phase. How do you think you did about getting your message across?
I am very passionate about it. So I listen to myself when I talk, so I'm able to change the conversation as we go. Mm-hmm. I think what would benefit me, I know what would benefit me, would be able to be very consistent and deliver the same message over and over and over. And I have a marketing communication background. I know you have to hit someone with something 7 times or 21 times or whatever, and they need to hear it the same way. And so there's a branding aspect that I need to do. But I was listening to Katie in the room, and I'm similar in the same way that as I go through this course, I'm constantly refining. And I don't mean just changing things. I mean literally rewriting everything I'm doing month by month. Mm-hmm. And I think that's grad school to me. Mm-hmm. So this changed recently in 3 days. I mean, Volunteer Tennessee wasn't even a part of it till this morning. Mm-hmm. So as I go through it, and this is fast-paced too, so the ability to actually create that message in perfection, I think, is going to take some time. So.
I didn't know that heading into it, and I would have never, known something new just came at me this morning.
I think about it constantly.
Which is good, which is great. You have a huge knowledge base. You have a huge comfort with your topic, obviously. Presentation-wise, physically, how do you feel sitting up there?
It's fine. I've been around cameras and media my whole life.
That helps a lot, right? Yeah. That helps a lot. So I guess I would say just what you said, kind of just refining it kind of bringing it down. You also can give very long formatted answers, which are good, but it may not always be perfect for
Right.
the TV setting.
Well, thank you for doing
Great
that.
for print, all very interesting. But consider if I was like the 23-year-old new reporter sitting
Oh, this would
here.
blow you away.
I know, it would just blow you away. I'm thoroughly, integrated and interested in what you're doing because I love this whole topic. And just the fact that, the best reporters out there are going to be jazzed by learning about this. I just learned a lot about the volunteer world that I knew nothing about because I've just been one of those, casual volunteers at a time. So, I mean, it's a great story, especially in Nashville and Tennessee. I think you're on a great path. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it. You did a great job.
Sure.